Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode number 122. A day late, but a couple bucks, maybe over, not short. This is the week of whatever this is, November. No,
Isn't
what?
it 2
November?
days late?
Yeah, 2 days late, day late, dollar.
Are you having fun jumping 2 months ahead?
Yeah, it's November 907th in the year 2005.
Let me introduce Ryan 2099, Brock 2099.
It is the week of September 2nd, 2013.
Ooh, Marvel 2, Toby.
Yeah, September 2nd, of course, being the Monday, the day we normally record. However, this is a Wednesday night after hours, very late, so we are recording now. We had a holiday. I've had some personal crap going on, so I was not available to record on Monday, and I don't think half these guys were either. So
I was here.
Yeah,
we did explain on the Geek Box what was happening in personal life.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, no,
They
that's
asked
fine.
me.
That's
I
fine.
didn't know
Yeah,
what
that's
to
fine.
how to
That's
say.
fine. That's fine.
I couldn't come up with a cool FBI agent story that you got taken by the feds and you had to like go on this mission and save
So
your dog.
you're pimping the Geek Box right now. If you want to know what was going on in Ryan's personal
true.
life, go listen to the Geek Box.
My family was out visiting, but my dog got
there we
attacked
go.
by another dog, and so I've been dealing with that. However, she is doing much better.
Is she Weapon 2 now? Is Penny Weapon 2 now?
She was.
She did have some tubes in her body.
She was looking a little Frankenstein monsters-ish for a couple days there, but
Is she healing up?
She's doing a lot better. She's
She's Wolverineing up?
Yeah.
Right.
She healed like crazy fast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One bit's still a little iffy. We're taking her back to the vet tomorrow, but the rest of her is good. If I could pass anything on, if you have a very large dog, be aware they are animals. Make sure, other than just collars and chains or whatever, whatever you use to walk, harnesses are very important if you have a big 100+ pound dog. That's my...
Also, big, burly guy to hold on to the
Not
leash.
necessarily. That's just my PSA for the week. I am Ryan Higgins, who's here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
Who's here who's here with me this week? Let's try that again.
Sager.
Brock.
Toby.
And Charlie.
Toby and Charlie. All right, guys. This was... Well, okay. We were a little bit over a week since last recording, so first... I should say we totally knew about the digital comic store last week. We just couldn't talk about it if that wasn't painfully obvious. But yes, our digital comic store is now updated. That is digital.comicsconspiracy.biz, or the direct link is comicsconspiracy.comicretailer.com. That is the affiliate site for Comixology. You can get it at bit.ly-ccdig as well, if you want a short site to remember. That should still forward. I'll double check on that, but that should still work.
I haven't asked you if that changed at all.
The Bit.ly site?
No, it's just because I redeemed the digital codes in the back of the DC books. I actually redeemed them through your site over the weekend.
Oh, cool.
So I'm curious to see if that shows up under your history.
I don't know. And yes, the Bit.ly site does still work. So it's, comicsconspiracy.comicretailer.com. Fully HTML5, all up in your Apple product. Links, sales.
And just much easier to use.
Right-click a link to get a link directly to the book. Works so much better. You can add subscriptions. So you can go onto the site, subscribe to a comic. You never have to go back to the site. You go through our site once. You can subscribe to everything. Every month, you're automatically billed, and the book on the subscription is added to your account. You can download it on your iPad, your iPhone, any device that you use it on. You never have to go back to the site if you don't want to. And we get a nice little cut every time, which is pretty great. So I recommend people doing that if they want to throw some money our way. We don't do advertising. We don't do stuff that a lot of podcasts do because we're a retail store. However, we still have to stay in business. And by, if you don't order direct from us, the digital comic store is a great way to give us some extra cash to keep this thing going. So,
But please order the JLA Earth 2 from us if you need a copy.
I could do that. There isn't on Comixology, right?
Comixology.
So if you want to hear Omar's pick for the Comics Conspiracy Comic Book Club, I was told earlier I need to specify Comic Book Club of the month. You should...
So it's the Comic Conspiracy Comic Book Club?
Yeah.
That's what I have to write on the blog.
Well, I told one of our regular customers here at the store, who, much like Brock, likes to make fun of me for my lack of reading of novels of the non-comic related, of the non-graphic kind. Yeah. And he's like, wait, you do a book club? Have you read all these books? I'm like, yeah, all except for the most recent one. He's like, well, what have you read? I was like, well, All-Star X, or All-Star Superman, Clone. And he's like, wait, those are comic books. I'm like, yeah, it's a book club. He's like, that's a comic book, that's not books.
See, you should just call it a graphic novel book club.
There you go. Graphic novel book club? Why not graphic novel club?
Graphic novel.
There you go. Anyway... so go visit that site, buy some comics. It would be great.
And for the record, just because Ryan was wrong,
Ryan was wrong.
What was I wrong about?
Earth 2 is in the volume 4 of the Grant Morrison hardcover,
yes.
and I'm assuming the volume 4 of the trades as well.
I don't know about that, but
out.
It should be. Yes, so you are correct. If you have the Grant Morrison hardcovers, it actually is in there. Which the soft covers are better, even though they're not as nice. They are better because they have the non-Morrison issues in there, which are fantastic. But yes, I was incorrect about that. Charlie was right. The Earth 2 is in the hardcover version, at least. So
yeah.
That we can confirm.
Must mean that Charlie went to his hardcover shelf and looked at it.
Yes, and then read it. I'm actually ahead for once on the graphic novel.
Well, I've read that a bunch.
I read it back in March.
I want to go back and read it.
I've read it when it first came out.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I just don't remember
I did not read it when it first came out. I did not read it when it first came out, but I knew I had read it, and when I started, because I was stupid enough to take Ryan at his word and buy and actually buy the copy from here just to go home and go, but I know I've read this, meaning somebody must have lent it to me. And I kept thinking about it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure nobody lent this to me. So I finally went to my hardcovers to check and went, crap.
Well, aren't they releasing like an oversized collection of it? Like the DC big size?
The deluxe?
I thought they were releasing a deluxe version of it. I thought I saw that on the list.
The other Grant Morrison book?
Which will mean that'll be the third time I own this book now, because I have the original hardcover. I'll buy that, and I have it in the Morrison hardcover.
I saw on Amazon it said there was a deluxe, a hardcover, and a soft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's one coming out.
Yeah.
So
I wonder why.
Ahead of his time.
No.
Yeah. There you go. What should we start with? Do we want to start with? Oh, I guess Trinity War. We should start in the past and work our way forward.
You mean a week ago?
Yeah. Well, it came out after we recorded last, so the final issue. Yeah. Trinity War, which is and I actually have a question about this, which I will answer along with this. Trinity War was the lead-in to this week's Forever Evil #1, which is the big DC event. So this was the Jeff Johns and Jeff Lemire crossover between the 3 Justice League books. I actually did get a question here from, I think it was Joshua. He says, how sucky and anticlimactic was the ending of Trinity War? They pulled a Marvel and made the ending a preview of what's next. Now I'm going to defend the Trinity War.
Oh, of course you are.
Oh, hold on.
Let me put my Bryce hat on. Of course.
Hold on, Bryce. Hold on. We were specifically told Trinity War. Now, initially, it was supposed to be a big event, but they later came out and said it's a 6-part series that is going to be the lead-in to Forever Evil, which is the big event. So I'm perfectly fine with that. Age of Ultron was never solicited or never said, to the best of my knowledge, it was going to be a lead-in to no less than 4 other event books. I was never said. Now, they said Angela was going to be in it, and clearly she was going to be in Guardians. So, okay, I'll give you one of the 4. But Hunger, the Battle of the Atom, which it kind of is tying into a little bit in retrospect. What's the other? Infinity, and then those the 4, right? And then Guardians. So 3 of the 4, there was never talk of the. Oh, and I guess Avengers AI as well, right?
See, to me, every single quote-unquote event has some sort of fallout. Like, you can make the same argument, well, they never said at the end of Civil War they're starting this Dark Reign event. They never said at the end of House of... Like, it's standard fare. The big events are supposed to have some sort of lasting impact at this point that leads into where the books go from there.
Sure. I'll give you that. But Age of Ultron was egregious in its... ability to do this at the end. Like Forever Evil And what they did in Trinity War was just directly in the Trinity War. Like, it didn't affect anything else. It only affected the launch of Forever Evil.
I can just imagine Bryce in his car right now listening to his podcast. What? Fuck you, Ryan.
See, my thing about the end of Trinity War, and this is a good thing.
Well, and we are going to spoil Trinity War here in case you haven't read it yet.
To me, it felt like the end of like a TV season when you kind of have like that big boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then most of the time when the show starts up again, a lot of shows sort of jump ahead a little bit so you don't like
see the resolution right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of unfolds. And that's kind of how when I read that and then started Forever Evil, that's exactly how it felt. Like you had that big reveal at the end of the season and then they jump ahead a little bit to sort of show the aftermath of what happened.
Now, this Forever Evil, Trinity War, let me see. Trinity War was the 6-part crossover between the 3 Justice League titles, and it led into the events of Forever Evil #1. And publicly, DC has been pretty upfront that Forever Evil is about the Justice League being killed off by the secret society of supervillains, and now they've taken over the world. So how we get here in Forever Evil is Trinity War, that the 3 teams are basically being played up by the Outsider. I
love that.
Which traditionally the Outsider pre-Crisis was, I can't remember if he was actually, let me see, I can't remember if he was actually from Earth 3, but he was Alfred. No, I don't think he was. I think he was just a like a weird alternate personality or something like that of Alfred. I don't think he was actually from a parallel universe, but I could be wrong with that. I'll have to look it up. But he was basically like an evil version of Alfred. In this, they've set up that Earth 3, which was the original home of the crime syndicate, sort of the evil Justice League. If you remember Infinite Crisis, that's where Alexander Luthor of Earth 3 came from, who was the only good guy in the entire world. He sort of found a way to this world, to the regular DC universe, found a way to access Pandora's box, which is, as we find, a actual scientific device that allows the travel between dimensions.
Similar to a mother box.
Yeah. Not clearly stated only from Earth 1 to Earth 3. I don't believe. I interpret it as this is something that allows the travel between dimensions.
Well, they also made it sound like they were trying to get out of their world for quite a while before that. So.
Right. So, and now through him and Atomica, who's the evil Atom from Earth 3, they have kind of destroyed the Justice League and the crime syndicate.
I was just going to say, I'm dying to know exactly how far back this was planned, just because a lot of the early pictures of the Justice League included the Atom.
Yeah, the female Atom. Yeah. Well, so I kind of was doing some catching up with the Justice League books, because I'm notoriously far behind on every book I ever read. And at least going back a good 6 months, I have been in the book.
Well,
so.
I know that. I'm just wondering, because like when they started the New 52, a lot of the early Justice League stuff they were pushing and stuff include the Atom.
Right.
So
I would think,
like when they finally added the female Atom, I'm like, oh, so they finally got the Atom onto the team.
Yeah. I would think that was probably the plan the whole time. I mean, obviously we don't know, but
I'm just always curious about stuff like that.
Well, the end of Trinity War is
awesome.
The Outsider basically corrupting half the team, or all the teams really, except for John Constantine, basically, and opening the rift to Earth 3, and the crime syndicate of America comes through, and then it just sort of ends. Mm-hmm. And then we pick up Forever Evil #1, which came out this week, which we're also going to spoil, and they've killed the Justice League. They have Superman's cape.
Off panel,
right. And that's what Toby was saying about it, flash forwarding. Yeah. Or Charlie, I'm sorry, you were saying about it, flash forwarding. It feels like all this stuff has happened and we don't know exactly what happened.
Yep.
And they've gone through and now they're going to kick some ass.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I really liked Forever Evil.
Yeah, it was
big surprise. It's a John's book, and I really like.
It was a different feel for a John's #1 big event book. It didn't feel like Infinite Crisis. It didn't feel like some of the other ones that he did. It had I guess a different tone because it's such a different title. I mean, it's really a complete villain focused book. they're kind of setting Lex Luthor up again to be a little bit more of a badass. Although, much like Alexander Luthor of Earth 3, I wonder if Lex Luthor here will kind of end up being more the hero and less the straight-up villain that he is a lot of times in these books.
In Lex's eyes, he was never the villain.
No, of course.
He's always been the hero.
Not to mention, in a weird way, you could argue he finally got what he wants because he has this big, all-powerful guy that nobody's going to claim is a good guy.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'll be curious what his role in this is by the end. I mean, he's front and center in his battle armor and the cover and everything. But I could actually see, based on this issue, I could see him actually being the one to take out the crime syndicate at the end.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem too far-fetched. Going in, and Toby, I know we were talked a lot about this fear that this huge thing was going to happen to Nightwing.
Yes.
It happens in this issue, and we could talk about it, but
yes.
I thought it was kind of nothing.
I thought it was lame.
I
actually like the acknowledgement of the fact that there was the alternate version of Nightwing that was partners with Owlman.
Yeah.
Stuff. I thought that was kind of a nice nod.
So, like rumored, on Bleeding Cool specifically, they take Nightwing and they publicly out him in the middle of a big television. They hijack TV cameras basically and be like, "We destroyed the Justice League. Here's Nightwing. Oh yeah, by the way, he's Dick Grayson. Here's his driver's license and his birth certificate and all these things of him. And we're just going to kill we're going to kill all the heroes on Earth. We don't care."
Well, no, they specifically said anybody who stands up to us, we're not just going to kill you. We're going to kill your family. We're going to kill your friends. We're going to kill everybody you care about.
All right.
Wouldn't that have been more? I hate to say it, but that would have been better if they actually just killed Nightwing there in front of everybody. Lynched like a superhero in front of everybody.
Right. To me,
not that I wouldn't wanted that. I'm just saying that would have been a bigger point.
I'm a little surprised they didn't toss him out to the crowd.
Especially since they killed, vaporized Ultraman. Ultraman vaporized one of the guys.
Yeah, Monocle.
Yeah.
Great Z-list villain to sacrifice to the gods there. I loved it. But to me, outing Nightwing, and DC is kind of, again, rumors that this is going to be the status quo going forward for Nightwing. He's kind of taken up the Wally West mantle of the only publicly known superhero. So hopefully he's around.
As a big Nightwing fan for years and years and years, I thought they made him look like a punk. And if he doesn't get any kind of retribution or doesn't get to have a comeback, I'm going to have some fighting words with Geoff Johns next time I see him. I might slap him in the face.
He may be a little bit like a punk, but
completely. He was all skinny, and the woman was like, out of everybody, it was the woman that was holding him. Okay, now I'm going to get a lot of hate for that too. But
it's Wonder Woman. It's an evil Wonder Woman, and an evil Superman, and an evil Batman.
They made him look like such a punk, though. I was like,
but he would be a punk going up against Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman.
No, Nightwing is that good that he could systematically take him out like Batman.
But no one was expecting this, right? To me, I don't really have a way with how he got taken down. On
the other hand, it could have been anybody, and whoever is fan of, if it was a Green Arrow fan would have said the same thing that I would say right now. So
yeah, to me, it felt cool, and I really want to see where they're going with this. But the Nightwing thing, to me, it just felt kind of tacked on.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that too. The only thing I liked, though,
I think maybe they wanted to kill him and they pulled back.
Well, again, I didn't want that. But,
no, of course.
That would have been a better issue. On the other hand, though, the only thing I liked on this reveal was Lex Luthor going, "Who the hell is Richard Grayson?"
Right, yeah.
That kind of made me smile and go, "What? Who the hell is this guy?" All these years I wanted to know. But
I wonder if that's a little dig on the Justice League Unlimited episode with Flash and Lex Luthor when they switch bodies. Yeah, which is classic stuff.
Well, at least they didn't kill him, so I guess I'm not quitting comics just yet. So I guess I'm still on this podcast next week. And
no, I am excited for the remainder of the series. To me, this was a pretty decent start to the series. I don't think it hit me as much as maybe, say, Infinite Crisis, which is kind of the high bar, or Identity Crisis.
I think Charlie hit it exactly with Trinity War was the end of season 1. Yeah, and we're getting season 2.
Sure, just started.
And it's because of how season 1 ended, they needed to give us they didn't want to spoil everything in the first issue, so they kind of go a little bit ahead, and then we're going to catch up a little bit.
Then, and the fact that this was launching all these villain titles and everything else. It was just sort of communicating exactly what it communicated, that the villains have basically been given free reign by the crime syndicate and has pretty much put all the heroes on notice.
So where do we go from here? Like, where does the story go? What's everyone's guess?
I would think it would be awesome if, like, Nightwing, like, kind of disappeared from the limelight and formed the Outsiders.
Pretty cool.
That would be cool.
Well, they're doing the
my
Justice
idea
League
to begin with.
Well, they're doing the Justice League Canada thing, which implies that there's some sort of like takedown of the American government, or you know,
It just seems
outlawing
weird to
of-
me that the crime syndicate let him live. I mean, again, I don't want to see him die, but story-wise, it would make a lot more sense right now
Yeah.
that they would have killed him.
Yeah.
Maybe I even would have liked it better that they made him out to be a punk, and at least kill him afterwards, save him from his dignity.
Given the fact that we don't know...
They should have just brought back Wally West just to kill him at the end of the issue. There you go. And Stephanie Brown.
My mentality on this just kind of comes down
And Donald Trump.
They say they killed the Justice Leagues.
Well, everybody's
right now,
everybody's thinking they're just on Earth 3, that they swap places.
That's my...
Or something to that effect.
Yeah, that's
And
my guess.
Yeah.
My guess is there's probably some sort of...
Or Earth 2 Justice League is going to come and save the day.
Similar to
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
the way they handled it in Earth 2, I'm guessing things are not as straightforward as they seem.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you're a fellow
Meaning
Doctor Who
there
watcher,
may
you know that
be
very well.
Certain rules that they can't break, but they can bend. So
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Park.
Well, I mean, it's from what I've read of the crime syndicate from, like, what was it? They were in the end of 52, and they were in Countdown a little bit with the search for Ray Palmer and stuff. It like them not killing Nightwing, I can understand, because they're, from what I understood reading those characters, they're bored. I mean, after they take over the world and do all, they're bored. So it's like they come here, they kill the Justice League, and they're like, eh.
Well, they actually made this one sound like... They pretty much made it sound like something happened on their world that they kind of went, okay, fuck it, we're going to kill everybody or whatnot. And then they kind of went, and now we're stuck on this wasteland or whatever and need to get out.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
I'm curious the long-term ramifications of this book. Because, you know, at the end of the day, stuff like them destroying America or whatever, I mean, they'll bring that back. I mean, they always will. But it's interesting that they're going with the crime syndicate and putting the league back together so fast. I was half thinking they were going to do some sort of, like, Legion of Doom, more villain-based. I mean, the crime syndicate's great. I love them. I love alternate and doppelgangers and stuff like that. But, yeah, I am curious kind of what the long-term plan here is. I mean, it could just be, hey, we want an awesome story where heroes fight villains. I'm down with that. But, yeah, I am curious if there's some sort of long-term ramifications here.
I seriously think that based on everything that I've seen, everything that I've read, and everything about this event, I really think you already hit the nail on the head that it's going to be Luthor essentially putting together his own team to take them on, and at the end of the day, probably inadvertently saving the Justice Leagues and whatnot.
Well, the villains shouldn't go with them in the first place. I mean, the second one of them said anything, Ultraman vaporizes the guy in front of him. What's to stop it from doing that to anyone else?
I think the point is, while yes, there's no reason he wouldn't do that to anybody else, I think the point is just sending sort of the message of we're in charge now.
Right.
Well, I think also one of the things about the New 52 when it came out was that, you know, people were like, it was mainly focused on the heroes. I mean, we got some villains along the way, but, you know, there was, well, Joker pops up and then he disappears, and it was like, where's Joker? Where's Joker? So I think that this is also just kind of like an adrenaline shot of all the villains, as many villain stories as we can tell, to kind of, you know, bring the villain stories back up, because I mean, the villains are the ones that have kind of suffered in the New 52 and not getting a lot of backstory, a lot of, like, attention. They've been there, but, like, the Justice League Origins, Darkseid shows up, and then, you know, they fight him for, like, 3 issues, and then it's, like, it's done.
Well, while I agree with you there a lot, don't get me wrong, I like the villain titles. I'm enjoying the ones I've been reading already, and I'm glad they're doing it. But at the same time, it's very targeted, specific. It's not like we're just going to touch on as many villains as possible. It's sort of like Darkseid stuff is coming up in the Batman Superman book, so that's why they have the Darkseid villain issue, and Cyborg Superman's in the Supergirl book, and like they're specifically taking villains that they've either already brought in and are doing a story with, and using this to give you their new backstory, or in some cases using villains they've already well established, like in the case of Grodd, where they want him sort of involved in this event, but I guess all I'm basically saying is I don't feel like they're necessarily injecting a bunch of villains that they didn't already seem to have story arcs planned for in a lot of these different
books. They're giving us more of the villains. It's
every villain that got its own Villains Month book is going to be the focus of an upcoming arc.
Or one that's already started.
Or one that's one they're working on. We should switch over to the villain stuff anyway, just so we can talk about that. Because today was the start of the Villains Month, which is the big month-long
headache.
Well, before you go there, though, how cool was it when Ultraman was smoking the kryptonite? Like, I thought that was cool. Yeah. That was I thought that was really well done.
Yeah,
so I kind of like that little.
I especially like the Luthor reaction to all of that.
Oh, Luthor's reaction is great. This is a job for Superman.
Yeah.
Where in the hell is he?
Yeah.
And as that happened here, you got Ultraman, blocking the red sun. So a lot of cool moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
blocking the yellow sun.
Yellow sun.
Oh, yellow. Yeah. What is that? Red sun?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So the Villains Month is a thing we've been talking about at length previous episodes, so we don't really need to necessarily go into the backstory of the whole thing. But it starts this week. We got 13 number one villain issues, half of which were sold out of already. So there you go. Those fancy 3D covers that a lot of people seem to like that made me friggin' half blind yesterday. Staring at them all day. I seriously have.
I was standing over there packing up books, and you're like, Brock, you might have to put the books on the wall. I'm starting to get a headache from just
It was just.
Oh, I got a headache too.
I mean, this is the problem. Go to like Nintendo and the 3DS. I like the 3DS is a great system, but I never turn the 3D on because it just hurts my eyes so bad. And it's just like everything. It gets cool. It looks really neat, but I can't focus. My eyes glaze over. I'm like my eyes drift off the page. It's really difficult when you're staring at a big wall of them for any length of time.
Which is why they're fine for when you're picking up a book and reading. You
spend
a second to look at the cover and go, this looks really cool, and then you read a regular book.
Don't stand at the wall at your local comic shop staring at them for an hour, or you're going to go blind. You're going to go blind. There's no other way.
I can just imagine someone coming in the shop, staring for an hour, then he goes, all right, goodbye, Ryan. He walks straight into the wall while he's leaving.
He'd buy all the Marvel titles going, these look 3D.
Charlie, you've had a chance to read a few of them?
Yeah, I've read 3 of them.
Okay. What's interesting, I think, that they're doing with this is a mix, like you were saying, Charlie, of origin, a mix of current story tie-ins, lead into the new books. Do you think of the ones you read, do any work better than others, or what's your take on the ones you read so far? Because I mean, literally, these just came out with just close, and none of us have a chance to really go through any of them. But
I guess sort of the bottom line is like the Grodd book is absolutely great if you've been reading the Flash book. So that one's very sort of centric towards you really should be reading the Flash book if you're reading the Grodd book. But that being said, like the Darkseid one, it doesn't really matter if you read the Justice League Origin trade. It doesn't even matter if you've been reading Batman, Superman, and just want to read a new origin for Darkseid. It's very sort of self-contained and tells a brand new origin.
It's kind of like what we got out of the Zero issues, where we got some that were finishing a story, some that were an origin story, and then
I actually think this is one of the problem with a lot of the Zero issues is most of them told a very weird sort of condensed, like they didn't give you like a full origin or anything. It was like we're going to tell you.
I just recently reread the Batgirl one, and that one's kind of like really kind of condensed. Shows this little sliver of time, and then it's like a bunch of splash pages that show, this was the happiest year of my life, and blah 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 blah. And then Joker's there at the end with the gun.
I felt like the Joker one was just a random story involving the Joker, and that's great. I'm curious to see how like they utilize that in books upcoming. But it's just a fun little Joker story, and I always applaud those. Versus the Darkseid is like this full blown out this is his new origin. This is sort of where he comes from. This is where Highfather comes from. And
just so everyone knows, if you heard that, that was Toby's nose flying off of his face.
So, I mean, the ones I've read all have worked on different levels so far. Like, I would have been pissed if, like, they show a little bit, like, I don't want to say too much of Joker past in the Joker book, but there was a part of me that's like, I don't really want to know too much about how Joker grew up or didn't grow up, or like, just leave the Joker as the Joker.
Well, those are always, it's always a lie, or it's never real anyway. I mean,
yeah, but Joker. This was weird flashbacks in his head, so
even then, that doesn't mean it's real.
Now, does Forever Evil make any of you want to go back and read Salvation Run?
No,
just checking.
Yeah,
it makes me want to go back and read Forever Evil #1 again.
Yeah. I'll be curious. Like I said, like we're talking kind of long-term effects here of this book. So, what do we want to move on to? I thought we had something else to talk about. I can't remember. I got a bunch of shorter questions here. If we can read those, and then if I remember what the hell we were gonna go back and read, go back and talk about, we'll talk about it. I'm going to go in here from Mitch, who's one of Brock's buddies here, and we didn't get to read hardly any questions last week, so I'm reading a bunch of these this week.
Brock, buddy.
He says, Brock got me back in the comics with Preacher 2 years ago. What are your absolute must-reads for someone starting comics? And he loved Preacher, by the way, too. So, Brock, why don't you handle this one? You already give him his...
I've already, he orders from me. He calls, and I'm like, all right, you're getting this off the shelf, this off the shelf, this off the shelf. All right, that's about $100. You good? He's like, okay, and then you ring it up through the system.
Yeah.
So,
well, Vertigo has been the go-to. I know this.
Well, he read Scalped.
Yeah,
which he being from South Dakota, he's like, this is so fucking true and awesome.
Nice.
And he loves Scalped. So, and he loved DMZ. But the one comic book one that he got was Batman Hush, and he just finished reading that and really enjoyed that.
Okay.
So I guess go off of.
Well, my default's always going to be Kingdom Come. It's just a general go-to, and I mean, you can always point towards Marvel's on the Marvel side, and
DC and Marvel. DC and Marvel every year or so put out a little book of here's all the trades we have in print that are awesome, and here's the order of them, and here's everything that's going on. So those are always good to go through. Vertigo, I can recommend. If you grab a random Vertigo book off the wall, you will like it. Odds are it'll be good. It's rare that it's terrible.
Are you talking about a single issue, or are you talking about a trade?
A trade. If
I was going to say trade, you're kind of safe saying that because most of the ones that weren't good kind of go out of print.
You're right. If you grab any volume 1 of a Vertigo trade off the shelf, odds are highly in your favor that you're going to like it. Just the way they are. But, when it comes to making recommendations, especially for people that are newer readers, if they really want to get into superhero stuff, there's plenty of suggestions. But a lot of times I find the easiest way to get people into reading, especially if they haven't read a lot, is things that have maybe been translated in the movies or from other material. Things like the new Turtle series, maybe Transformers, G.I. Joe. Not necessarily that they're the best choices, but things that people are somewhat aware of. Again, I would give something like Saga or Ex Machina or League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, or a lot of Vertigo stuff, or Hush, or Kingdom Come. Clearly, these are better books. But I find a lot of people that read comics, especially for the first time, if they haven't really read too many, like something they're sort of familiar with, just to get them used to the...
I'm not disagreeing on the Turtles and such.
Walking Dead, perfect example of a book. Yeah. That has been, I guarantee you, Walking Dead has been a lot of people's first comic book.
And I guess the reason why I half rolled my eyes at you when you started naming Transformers and that kind of stuff is the Turtles books have been a good book and still feel like sort of Turtles to me when reading. And don't get me wrong, there are good Transformers books, but there's also really bad Transformers.
Of course. But my point here was, especially if you are really new to the process of reading comic books, a familiar set of characters or circumstances might make it a little easier.
I agree with you, but make sure you ask somebody who already likes those books, which ones they like. Somebody comes in and asks, what Star Wars comics should I read? There's obviously better Star Wars comics to point them to than just the random one on the shelf.
Right.
Would you clump like Smallville and Angel and Buffy?
Yeah,
and,
of course.
Like, those titles that are...
Well, the
I
license...
have a friend of mine that comes and buys those.
Yeah, the licensed books are always easy recommendations because people are generally familiar with the source material. My dad and his wife were here, and she was looking around, and I was like, wait, you're a huge True Blood fan. Here's the first volume of the IDW True Blood series. And it's a perfect example of a book where you can get someone who knows the base material in, get them to understand the process and the read. Because comic books, we were like, read a comic book. Of course, read a comic book. But when you first read a comic book, it's not entirely clear. This is something new to a lot of people, and it is something that it may take someone.
You're trying to shoehorn them in, basically.
Yeah, well, I think, when people say, a good suggestion is always, give me a few movies you like and you pick a book around it. If you happen to say Scott Pilgrim is one of your favorite movies of all time, well, I highly recommend reading the Scott Pilgrim comic because it's, one, different enough, and two, it gives you a good introduction to the art of reading comic books.
Yeah.
If you're just looking for good suggestions and you're all familiar with comic books, there's obviously different books I would suggest. I would never recommend Watchmen to be someone's first comic book because it is.
I concur with that.
It is a dense, difficult read, or League of Extraordinary Gentlemen for the same.
I would recommend it to book readers.
Sure, sure, but it is a. You know what? Even then, I think if they like classic literature, going to something like League, I think would be.
They butcher my classic literature.
No, I think they
would.
My
characters, what are they?
I think they would. I think that would be a bit off-putting. I think we would want to start somewhere else. And Watchmen is a difficult read if that's your first comic book. Hell, it's a difficult read even if it's not your first comic book.
Now, you need to ask them about League. Ask them if they watch Disney movies, because if they don't mind the Disney movie butcherings, then they're not going to mind League.
Sure. But stuff like Archie, My Little Ponies, the kids' books are great for younger kids. But if there's a Sons of Anarchy comic book going out, Brock.
Are you getting any?
We're getting a few. You can recommend those to people.
I'll recommend it. I'm on season 5 right now. So good.
You're just going, hopefully it's better than the Dexter comic.
Colin asked.
I couldn't even read number 2.
I didn't bother. Colin asked, has there ever been a DC comic crossover about Wayne Enterprises versus LexCorp? They're business rivals, right? There kind of was. No Man's Land.
There's been a couple where they've butted heads on.
No Man's Land is the big one, where Gotham got destroyed by an earthquake, and basically Luthor wants to come in and rebuild it, and Bruce Wayne's like, no fucking way. It was a pretty cool. It was kind of near the end of the event, like sort of the end of the run. But that was a pretty cool little thing.
And the sort of start of the whole President Lex
thing. Right. And if I'm not mistaken, they butt heads in the Superman-Batman crossover as well, the animated show.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
As Lex and Bruce Wayne.
Oh, yeah. No, that's how they're introduced. That's how they introduced them crossing line.
Right, because Bruce is in Metropolis.
For a business meeting with Lex. And Lois is having eyes on Bruce, which creates the other triangle. And it was fairly well done.
And I guarantee you we'll be seeing this in Men of Steel too, July 17th,
that's why
2015.
Affleck had to be at Batman. We needed a pretty boy.
Yeah.
Still calling Fassbender.
This is from Dominic, and it's actually a question we get a lot, and I wanted to answer this only because
Dominic, it should be Dominic and others.
Yes. You guys ever considered a Skype segment, a call-in segment?
Huh?
Asking, like, do we take Skype call-in or something like that? We actually, way we're set up, we're connected directly to, this is not about comic books, this is about the podcast. We're connected directly to the board. The board's connected to the, because like straight up to a recording board. The board is connected through the laptop. The way it's set up, I can't record audio through the laptop when it's coming through the mics. We could do like a separate segment, but we couldn't do it live.
Could you put another laptop in as another input?
Possibly, but the way we currently have it set up, we couldn't. I mean, I'd have to be separate. And then we're through one headphone, which is what I'm through. There's no
everybody
speakers,
has to have a headphone.
and we're all live. Everyone else is sitting around the table.
Otherwise, you're going to get feedback.
I need to look into the board. I think the board can do it.
Well,
no, that's not the question.
Either way, you could.
I think we could totally do it. That's the problem if you can hear the question.
Right. Yes, we would love to do this. If I thought we could do it the way we're currently set up, it would require quite a bit of work.
I mean, me and you, Ryan, we actually talked about this a few times to just get in some guest speakers and just in general.
Do just like interviews or something like that over Skype.
And we've been working on that for a while. There's a little teaser out there for the guys that are listening right now.
Yeah,
but,
which I think is perfectly doable, but it wouldn't be live with the recording of the podcast. That would
I mean, the way we were going to do it was we're going to just do it separately and then splice it in. But it would be very nice live, though.
All right.
It's a work in progress, Dominic.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress.
David Baroldi here on Twitter asks, since I'm not digging, I'm assuming this is aimed at me, since you're not digging Hickman, who would you want to see on the Avengers books?
Johns.
No, I wouldn't. No, in a million years would I not want Jeff Johns.
No,
it's because he doesn't want Johns to leave DC.
He would want Morrison and Quietly.
I'm done.
I mean, I'll be fine with that. But no, I'm trying to think legitimately who is working at Marvel that I would really want to see on Avengers.
Do you think Jason Aaron could do it?
Nah.
Stegman.
It wouldn't be the same. I could see Ryan Stegman doing the art. That'd be cool. I'm
really digging his art. I'm really digging his art.
I like the artists they have on the Avengers titles for the most part. I've not had really an art problem. I'm fine with it being a little bit more serious, so I don't necessarily need like Dan Slott, which tends to be a little more on the goofy side, or Jason Aaron's like Wolverine and the X-Men goofy. I'm sure Aaron would actually probably do a pretty good Avengers. I'm not saying he wouldn't. I don't want to just default to Mark Waid. That is kind of what I want to say, but I don't want to just default to Mark Waid.
I was going to say, I'd be curious to see what Falkov could do with it.
Well, if he's...
I've never seen him on a book like that, though. But
Sure.
other stuff he's written.
Absolutely, Joshua Falkov. If he's coming over more hardcore and doing more Marvel work outside the Ultimate books, I mean...
Well, do you think...
I'm fine with that.
Who did X-Force?
Rick Remender?
No. Before... During Messiah.
What's his name?
Yost. And,
Chris Yost.
I think Yost could do it.
That could be cool. Yeah, I'd be fine. There's plenty of writers.
Better with younger cast of people, though. It seems. He's better with like younger. Like I want Yost to do like a Runaways.
Yeah.
Well, I think you hit it on the head a couple podcasts ago, and is that Hickman's Avengers? They seem like the characters aren't their own. You can easily swap one for another in something that's going on. I mean, I think it was in Infinity when everyone was gathered, all the Avengers were around talking, and it was like, I think Spider-Woman says something, and Captain Marvel says something. I'm like, this could have easily been, somebody else saying this or somebody else saying this.
It works in New Avengers, but I just do not think the writing works in Avengers the way it's currently set up. I have some issues with it, and I'm just not a fan of what they're doing. And part of that does fall into Infinity as well. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see long term what happens. Let's see. I think that's it for last week's questions. I mean, we have a bunch. Some of those.
He's like, that's it for 2005 questions.
Yeah, some of those are from last week, but now we're finally catching up into this week's questions. So, this is from Timothy. I feel like we get questions like this from time to time. Good to have Toby here for this one. Are there any books that you recommend solely on the art?
Stegman. Go buy Superior Spider-Man right now.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah,
but writing-wise too.
Get some old school Michael Turner Fathom books that you probably never ever read. That you'll just be in awe of the artwork and
Any book where I think that has amazing art, it almost always also has amazing writing. It's rare that the art just blows. I mean, unless you're talking about
Top Cow books.
There's like Age of Dinosaurs, which is I know Dark Horse published it more recently. I don't know. I think another companies did prior, but there's literally no writing in the book. It is all art. Or Owly, something like that, there is literally no writing in the book, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that with art, it's...
Oh, you mean Rex? The Japanese book with the little dinosaur running around with the animal?
There's that too.
That one is fantastic.
I think with art, it really depends on what the artist invokes.
It's not even that. It's a loaded question, really. I mean, the guy is like... wants recommendation on art books, right? I mean, what I like is completely different than what Ryan writes. Like, I like, like 90s style crazy, overdrawn heroes and superheroes and the Michael Turner, Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee style. While, Ryan over there really likes the Frank Quietly.
I was just about to say Jupiter's Legacy. There's one.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean, though. It's a very loaded question because I don't know where this guy is coming from, what kind of art style he likes, and there's guys that like very more artistic kind of David Mack style stuff, which I love too, but it's not for some people. Some people can't even read the David Mack stuff.
Well, my thing was it's just it like Jock did the Snapshot with Andy Diggle, and I found myself reading that more for Jock's artwork than necessarily Diggle's writing. But Jock's artwork worked for that type of story.
That's the other thing. I mean, the whole Sin City thing all over. I mean, I couldn't stand it at first, and I read it. I was like, this is the best thing ever.
I think like Hellboy and maybe anything by I just blanked on his name.
Mignola?
Well, Mignola, that's from Hellboy, but I'm trying to it doesn't matter.
Aldred?
Huh? No. Well,
like some people love Allred. Like I know Charlie's friends love Allred. I, for one, don't like it very much, but I understand how some people love it. I mean, it's very much like if some guy came into the store today, I'd be like, well, tell me what you like first, and then let me help you. Because what I like is not necessarily what you like. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stuff like Mignola and Paul Pope was who I was thinking, who I was thinking of. They often write their own books that they draw. I would buy those books more for the art than the story, but the writing is not bad in any sense. So they do a good job with both, making it difficult to recommend solely for the art. That's the problem that I have with this. With this. It's a good question, and the answer is no, I don't have any.
Occasionally I'll come across something where the art really stands out to me. Like I remember gushing about the art in the Batgirl Annual because I was like totally digging on that art, and that's kind of very rare where I'm like, I always liked the Batgirl story, but this art just sort of puts it up.
Or what about what the heck was that most recent Godzilla comic by
the Half Century War by Stoko?
So yeah. And there's one, but again, the story was not bad in any fashion.
It was completely awesome and fun.
I mean, I would recommend that 98% because the art is the greatest thing you will ever see, but the story is also really good too. So yeah.
I say pick up a James Steen art book and just be in awe of that.
Sure.
I say just go for that. Yeah. just the piece alone will just tell you stories. It's kind of nice. But in like late 90s was it steampunk? I loved the art in that book.
Oh yeah.
As Chris Pacciallo, I even owned 2 pages out of it. I don't think I knew what the hell was going on story wise.
No one did.
Not a clue.
No one did.
Not a clue. But art wise, oh my god, that thing was fantastic.
Early David Finch.
So it's from Joshua, who asks
again.
Same
Joshua.
Yeah, same Joshua from before.
Okay.
He asks, has there ever been a sidekick cooler than the hero?
Yes, it's called Nightwing.
My friend and I have been debating this all week. I'll give you Nightwing. I know people that love the Bat sidekicks way more than Batman himself. I think
all of them.
I think most people would disagree. However, I'll give you that if that's your answer. I have my answer, but
I think Winter Soldier, Bucky,
more than Cap.
Maybe now
Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
maybe now,
especially with the Brubaker stuff.
I'll give you that.
Prior, no, but with the Brubaker stuff, I would have to say.
What's the question? If there is a character, or what's your
basically, what sidekick do you like better than the hero they're paired with?
Oh, okay, Nightwing, definitely, for sure.
Well, he says, is there one? And I think that's all clearly subjective, but there's a couple that I think, and sure, Winter Soldier, I'm not a huge Cap fan. I'm not a huge Winter Soldier fan either. I like them probably on the same level at this point.
I think my trade collection tells the truth that I like Nightwing better than Batman.
Yeah. Well, the correct answer is either Star and or Stargirl, who is the sidekick to Stripey or Stripe the robot.
She totally outshines.
And that is the trick. That is the trick answer because they're the main character of the book, and the hero is the sidekick, but they're technically the sidekick. So there's your Stargirl. That's your trick. That's your trick answer to this question.
That's a really good one.
That's my dickhead answer, not my actual answer, but it is my actual answer because I love Stargirl and I care less about Stripe.
Charlie,
you got one?
What did you call one? You did one, right?
Yeah, I did Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah.
I don't really have one. I mean, there's been times I've
Scarlet Spider. Come on, Scarlet Spider.
Marshall's not on the podcast.
What?
No, Marshall loves Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No, the fact of the matter is there's times when I've enjoyed the Sidekick books better than the main books.
Teen Titans. Jeff Johns' Teen Titans.
Again, it doesn't mean that I would, like, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that one yet.
Anything Chuck Dixon wrote in the late 90s.
All right,
I will give you Chip over all the Green Lanterns. Is he a Sidekick?
That's your douchebag answer?
I love Chip. No, Chip's awesome, man.
Well, at least you didn't say Nort.
Okay, Joshua asked this question. I have no idea what he's asking.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you, Toby, because it's about Nightwing.
Uh-oh.
In light of all the Nightwing stuff, is it true there is a female Dick Grayson Mafia? I remember this from Infinite Crisis. I'm not trying to call you out here, Joshua. I have no idea what this question is. A female Dick Grayson Mafia? I'm wondering if there's like maybe a missed...
Dick Grayson Mafia?
An incorrected... Maybe a
female Dick Grayson Mafia.
I'm wondering if this is...
Is this a mafia based on Dick Grayson?
I'm wondering if this is like a mistype or something. I'm not sure exactly what he's asking. I wanted Charlie to be like, oh yeah, clearly that was from issue 4.
You know what, Charlie will bust out right now.
I have no clue on this one.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
There was a bunch of female villains running around in the Nightwing book, though.
Well, there was... What's her name? Had sexual relations with Nightwing while he was unconscious.
You mean raped him?
What the heck was her name? Tarantula? Tarantula.
Yeah.
And he definitely had a long string of female villains that were big fans of Dick. So,
well, yeah, literally.
Yeah. All right, Jim asks, after watching the Flashpoint movie, do I want to read... Oh, I want to read the mini. Do I need to read all the crossovers, too? I think we answered this when Flashpoint came out, but...
No, but you might want to.
You want to read some of them. No, you don't have to. But yes, you want to read some of them. You want to read Aquaman. Mm-hmm. You want to read Wonder Woman.
Batman.
You want to read Batman because it's an awesome story. It has nothing to do with anything, but it's an awesome story. And I want to say there was one more that was pretty important.
The Grodd mini is just... Or the Grodd single issue is just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Wonder Woman...
Yeah, but those are the big two.
was okay.
Yeah.
Lois Lane in the...
I mean, Lois was kind of important, but
that sucked. No.
More background as opposed to main actual story.
You don't need to read the one about the witch.
Yeah, that was not good. That was not good. Like the World
Secret
of
7 or whatever it was.
Yeah, World of Flashpoint.
Yeah, you don't need to read that one.
Yeah,
and you don't need to read
you want to know a backstory in the Lois Lane book? They got my boy Eddie Nunes to draw it, and then for some reason they didn't realize that he draws very manga style.
Yeah.
And the office didn't like it for some reason, so they had the inker change a lot of things on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it just became a bloody mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, the book we saw in the stores is not what he drew.
Oh, geez.
Which made just kind of a weird thing in between.
Yeah, I mean, the book looked weird, but I mean, it didn't really have any significance. Even Project Superman.
Well, the funny thing is Eddie Nunes was like, wait, haven't they looked at my art before they hire me? Like, what's going on here?
Like, that guy does art. We can use him.
All right, I got a couple more questions here. Ernesto asked, well, we kind of already answered this. I'll read the question, but I think we already answered this. Because he likes comics, but he can't read a lot due to time and money. What are just some kind of shorter stories? And I think we answered that when we were talking with Mitch. So I would recommend a lot of those books that we recommended. Maybe stay away from the longer Vertigo series, but a lot of one-shots.
I mean, if you don't have a lot of money, I mean, public libraries are starting to carry a lot more.
Yeah, Anoni is really doing all the book club readings through the library, which I'm actually kind of impressed with.
You can make requests and trade and stuff like that. I've talked to more people in the last year that say they read all their comics in the library and keep current. I'm not not current, but current with like the trade paperbacks.
Yeah. Well, and also like our store here, we have a good youth section that was a half off we're doing. Yeah. So
one thing I would generally point out is, especially on the Image books recently, they've kept a very low price point for the Volume 1 trades, and a lot of those have been really good.
You're kind of mimicking what Vertigo is doing for a while.
Well, also, on Comixology, you can download most of Image number 1s for free. Yeah, a lot of the first issue. So
a lot of free comics, a lot of free previews.
There's a way to kind of get in and see if there's anything that you would enjoy.
Yeah.
And you can always stock Comixology sales to buy more stuff.
This is from CrossX Hunter on Twitter. He says, "What was the most confusing comic book event you have ever read? I would recommend, or I'm sorry, I would nominate Countdown to Final Crisis." Brock's most confusing is Final Crisis.
No, you have to agree it's confusing because you had to have a Wikipedia page out, you had to have like another website up, and you had to have all this other shit just.
But that's not confusing. That's love.
That's not love. That's trying to figure something out.
That's love.
Without those things, you would be
giant
confused.
riddle.
That's love for the creators.
Did he read Trinity?
That wasn't confusing. That just wasn't good.
Yes,
That's a different. Confusing. I mean, Crisis on Infinite Earths is a friggin' nightmare if you have never read a DC comic, which when I had read very few DC comic books. So not confusing, just a friggin' info dump of so many characters and plots and ideas.
Legion of Three Worlds.
Any Legion book is going to be confusing if you don't know
that
Legion.
One is. I mean, it's got three legions.
Sure.
This is, at least for me, one of the weird things is like Crisis on Infinite Earths, as you say, is a sort of good example of one that you might feel a little lost while you're reading, but by the time you finish it, it all kind of comes together and that's sort of the same way I feel about like Final Crisis. Like at the beginning, I kind of felt, and then by the end, I felt okay again. But there was like this point in the middle where I was.
Wait, I will tell you the most confusing comic book event I've ever read. Infinity. There you go. That's my answer.
And again, I can hear Bryce in his car. Screw you, Ryan.
One issue, and I'm like,
hey, he's gonna ram his car right through the store.
It's one issue, and Wednesday sales of number 2 today.
Well, he's gonna run you over
so
too
hot.
now.
Number 2 are not so hot. I mean, top 5, but top 5, not top 2.
Well, I think that any book.
I just love the fact you're saying top 5 on a week that you had Forever Evil and all.
Marvel Boy's gonna start repping here, man. Maybe they're just pissed off and they don't shop here anymore. But the sales are bad on it. I'm sorry. For an event book, for a major Marvel event book, sales are not good on it.
I didn't even realize it was an event book.
Our subs on Forever Evil are more than twice that Infinity. AVX would have beat Forever Evil by, I think, like maybe 2 or 3 copies. My sub numbers towards like kind of even the back half of AVX. It's not. Sorry, Bryce.
Well, what can I say?
Still gonna come through with the car.
It's a John's event, so none of this shocks me, but that's okay.
But getting back to the confusing stories, I think it's stuff that has a lot of characters. I think if you were reading 52 week to week, it might get a little bit confusing. I was lucky enough to be able to read it in like weekly chunks, so it wasn't as confusing. But I think that it just depends on how much information is and how many characters and what's going on in an actual title. So, I mean, Countdown, I think Countdown is not necessarily confusing. It's just Countdown had a lot of tie-ins.
Yeah. And also as doesn't necessarily confusing, it just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Like that's the bigger problem.
Well,
You're going to defend Countdown now?
I'm going to defend everything. No, the fact of the matter is sometimes I feel like it's because of when I ingest certain material that the way I look at things is different than the way other people who are reading it look at things. And there's a lot of events like that where I just happen to have just reread a lot of other stuff that influenced it. So I kind of see certain things as a love letter to this so I don't know.
Well, like Legion of Three Worlds, when I first read it, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. But then I read a little bit more of I got into Wade's Legion, and I read a little bit more about Legion, and then I went back and reread Legion of Three Worlds, and it made a whole lot more sense. So,
do you want to hear something weird?
What?
I feel like I almost had the exact opposite reaction because I read it in single issues as it came out, and it never crossed, my brain could fully process it then. And then I bought the trade and I tried to sit down and start reading the trade. I'm like, why do I remember this making more sense to me last time?
What's the question? It was what's confusing or what's hard to read?
The most confusing event book.
I'll tell you what. Every single freaking crossover because that's when they lose me every time. I'm collecting, and then, well, you know me, I always collect the second tier characters.
Yeah.
And then an event happens, and then I lose. I lose touch with the book itself, though. Like, I don't know when to continue reading. It's every time a big event happens, that's when I lose touch with my books, and that's where it's stuck. Like, I was on Nightwing until the Owl thing happened, and then I lost track. You know, I was, years ago, when I do the 1 year later, I was all the way up to date, and the 1 year later thing happened, I lost track. It's every time they do a nationwide, well, not nationwide. Like brand, company-wide crossover thing, that's usually when, like, the X-Men titles, I'm on, and all of a sudden a giant big crossover happens, I lose track because I don't know what I'm reading anymore.
I agree with Toby because you also end up with a lot of contradiction when they start doing a lot of
yes.
crossovers.
Now, on the other hand, when I do read them in the graphic novels where they kind of put them in order for me and nice, I guess I'm just lazy maybe. I read them and it makes sense a little bit, but yeah.
Well, no, as you were saying that, like I was focusing on this very much in like the singular, like this. But no, you're completely right. When you get into a lot of these auxiliary crossovers and stuff starts contradicting each other.
Yes.
So what you read here gets contradicted in the main book. Yeah, that gets
very much don't like
confusing.
I got it. Deathmate.
Oh, jeez. Well, that's because they didn't ship in the right order. All right, we got 2 more questions here. We're going to wrap this up. This is from Paul. He says,
Paul.
I still want to know if Amadeus Choi is the 7th smartest person in the Marvel Universe.
Wait, who?
Amadeus Choi.
Oh,
Hulk sidekick.
Hercules' sidekick.
Well, he
Both.
was Hulk, and
Yeah,
then he was
yeah,
Hercules, and then he was
Is
Hulk.
he still around?
If he's the 7th smartest person in the Marvel Universe,
He was in Savage Wolverine not that long ago.
who are
People
one?
still read that book?
Who are 1 through 6?
Oh, is this a
And
Ryan
besides-
Scott? This is a Ryan Scott question, isn't it?
And not. Oh well, I should say he's not the 7th smartest person in the Marvel Universe. He's the 7th smartest person on Earth. Which because 7th smartest person in the universe would be like no, because there's all these other crazy characters out there. But
Marvel Earth.
all right, let's do the quick ones. Let's do the ones that are absolutes. Bruce Banner, Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Doctor Doom,
Spider-Man.
Those 4. I don't think Spider-Man.
Yeah,
not
I'm
Peter
not
Parker.
sure Peter Parker.
Not Professor X. Not Magneto. I don't see any of those guys. We got 4. There's 2 more. Those 4 to me are
Would it be a Dr. X or the
Forge?
X?
Forge is
X-guy
a
with the hat?
power. It's not necessarily
That he's smart?
What about the
Beast,
X?
maybe, though.
Beast. I'll give you Beast.
What about the doctor with the hat? The
Are you
X
talking
doctor
about
with the hat?
what's his name? Doctor... In the Cable in the X-Force book, Doctor...
Yeah,
with the-
Nemesis. Doctor.
Oh, how about
Is it not
Sinister?
Doctor Nemesis?
No, it's
Sinister? No, he builds all kinds of stuff. In
you know who I'm
his
talking
little
about,
cubes.
right? He wears gray, and he has the gray hat.
I know who you're talking about, and if I was a little
Bugging the
closer...
shit out of it.
Your arm is not long enough.
No, it's not.
I would say maybe not Sinister, but the who is the guy that makes the mutates?
Doctor what?
Nemesis.
Yeah, Nemesis. Yeah, I was. Yeah. What's the guy that makes the mutates and yeah,
evolutionary.
high evolutionary.
Yeah.
But is he human?
I don't remember.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll go on kind of high evolutionary, but I think we got at least 5 there. I think we got at least 5.
Trask.
I'm fine with all those. No. See, villain-wise, it's few beyond Doom.
So there's not that many. Oh,
Well, the problem is
the Hulk
most
villain with the giant
villains,
brain out of his
The
brain.
leader.
That's
Oh wait, no, I was thinking about
They
the
got
Green
a whole
Lantern
group
villain.
of smart guys in Hulk,
Well,
and they still suck.
See, the reason why it's hard for me to classify Sinister or a lot of
because they get easily defeated by the X-Men.
Well, no, anybody who is a complete specialist in a field isn't necessarily going to raid on this.
It's not going to be the smartest.
Scale. Yes, they may be the greatest expert in that one thing.
Yes, but they might be silly with others. They can't open a door or go down the escalator.
So
I could see Sinister doing that. Going to the elevator. What am I doing here? I will just deliver right now.
You know what's really sad about this list? It's so sexist.
What? There's no women?
I didn't make up the characters.
Is there a smart
don't finish that. Yeah, don't finish that sentence.
Okay.
In the I will finish this in the Marvel universe. Then it's not my fault.
There are definitely some. You have like Moira McTaggart, who I think would be very high on that list.
Yeah.
Invisible Woman would be very high on that list.
There you go.
Maybe not.
She's a really great lab assistant.
Not books. There's a difference. I mean, she is book smart and
Catelyn Fairchild.
Street smart.
All right, but that's not Marvel, though.
I know, but I was just trying to...
She was in one Marvel book, though. Multiples. It's called Heroes Reborn number 13. Had you guys there for a little bit,
But yeah, it's the list is slightly...
how about that Madame Web? Or no, I guess
not.
not.
She's just a seer.
She's just like weirdo.
Well, we got one question left.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up on this one.
So is Amadeus Choi the seventh smartest?
Yeah, that's what he is.
That's how he's always introducing himself.
I am the seventh smartest man ever. I want Spider-Man to introduce himself. I'm the 28th strongest Marvel character.
I mean, Spidey's up there. I mean, Peter Parker is definitely up there, but I don't think not higher than him. All right, this one's from Peter on Twitter.
Hello, Peter.
He says,
Hank Pym, maybe?
Oh, yes.
I think Pym would be on the list above Amadeus Choi.
Because he's one of the ones that always call in when
Is it Pym or is it Pym? I always call him Pym.
I would say Pym.
I mean, yeah, sure. If you take High Illusionary off and you put Pym in, then yeah. Sure.
I have an issue. We should have Hawkeye on there. I think he's a very smart guy.
It's from Peter. He says, your personal favorite and least favorite comic cover gimmicks. He is a fan of wraparound covers. He didn't say what he didn't like.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit. That's actually a good question for this week, though, with all the
villain covers. Yeah.
I don't know. See, coming... crap.
Okay, putting collector's issue on it or something. That is
number one collector issue.
I think my absolute favorite is connecting covers. Whether it's issues in a row or variant covers from its own series, covers
so like
that
what
connect.
Trinity War did.
Like the extra number one?
Yeah. Right, exactly. I think that is my favorite. It's
now you have to have a cutoff because
they're good.
See, I like it when they go one way, kind of like they did with the Trinity War, but I don't like it when they go like on top of each other.
Yeah, no. I like it when they go one way, like the Justice League or Justice Society, like number 25 or whatever it was, or 12.
Or when they did the Mark Bagley Trinity books.
Right. I think it was just Justice Society number 12 where they had the 3 Alex Ross covers where they formed the big image. I think that they work individually, they work put together. I think it's a cool look. My least favorite die cut by far, and my reason die cut is my least favorite is because those rip straight up. They're easy to damage. I have like that New Warriors number 25 that has a die cut of like Night Thrasher's face, and it's got all these little pointed, jagged edges and crap, and like they all bend and.
I want to say a guy from the 90s that I like the hologram stuff, but I don't know if that's them impounding it in my head that it's cool or if I actually think it's cool.
Variants don't count. We're not going to count. That's a whole separate idea.
No, but I like the, when they had the Fatal Attractions or when Wolverine got his thing taken out, that they had little hologram picture.
Little hologram on it.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. I might be silly, but I kind of dug it.
No, I was all into that kind of stuff too, and I liked a lot of the foil. Especially when you have the foil wraparound cover.
I like the Gambit gold cover, like the not the like the expensive one. I kind of like the black with the gold on it. They had like a Deadpool 1, 2 in red.
Embossed.
Yeah, I really like that stuff.
Like the Silver Sable.
No,
I kind of like the cardstock cover in general, though. Too, it just gives the book a little higher class of a feel. To it.
I like it when the comic books have gems on the cover.
Fuck that shit.
Eclipse on number 1, baby.
Or a little pog of a skeleton.
Pogs.
Moves.
Oh Jesus Christ! You're bringing back the '90s for sure now.
No, I think my favorite is probably I would have to say, I'd probably have to be connecting covers. And I really hate the embossed all red, all black, like just what the fuck is on this?
That those Avengers
30th
Fantastic
anniversary.
Four
books. Yeah. Batman, I think, had one issue like that, and it's like you can't see what's on the issue. You like have to turn it at a weird angle to see what's going on.
I liked it when Marvel did the Heroes All the Way Around thing, where it's like...
Oh, that's a Classic.
Remember that? Yeah, when it was like a bunch of heroes.
And the face in the middle?
Yeah. That's a classic.
Was it the face in the middle? It was like regular covers too, though, but they had like all the heroes, all like a U, giant U around.
Yeah, no,
I really like that stuff.
It was the big face in the middle with all the characters around the edge.
I really like that stuff.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my
and I think this goes to like DC's done a great job over the years with things like the Zero issues and the like the big face covers and things like that, where it's this nice uniform cover across all the books.
Before the New 52, they did the white background with kind of the logo in the background and then the characters.
Yeah, the faces of evil and stuff. Yeah. I mean, not some are better than others, you know. But yeah, some are good. Anyone have any they hate?
There's a 2-part question.
Well, if you want.
Yeah, I hate those solid covers.
I don't like the solid color. Like, you know how I love the Gambit #1 where it's black with the embossed gold. I didn't like the complete gold one.
That's kind of the same thing Brock was saying.
Yeah, like just the plain, like all the whole. Yeah. Okay, never mind.
Well, they had, like Avengers and Fantastic Four had like that red cover with like the Human Torch on it. I mean, it's cool looking to a degree, but it's hard to tell. Avengers had the one with like.
Do you guys like the see-through covers where it's like something on the
acetate?
Like,
no,
like it's like so it's a blank, but there's like say the Human Torch is on it, and then you can flip it, and then the background is there. No.
It depends.
Oh, I have one for one I hated. It was during the Worlds Collide, and the only reason I hate this is just because it became really annoying over time. But they had the like cover that you had stickers, so you could have like.
Oh, you're talking about the Lobo?
Yeah. Superman 30.
Yeah, it's not Shrinky Dinks. What the hell were they?
Steel 30.
They weren't Shrinky Dinks. What the fuck were they?
It was like make your own cover.
Yeah, what do they call that? It's like an actual thing where you take the stickers and you put them on.
It's like doll cutouts of dresses.
What the heck is that called? Shrinky Dink is the only thing I can think of for some reason. That's not what it is.
At the time I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. But then, like, of course, I don't think I still have any of those things that you would put on set.
There's a polybag copy in the bin.
Ooh. Oh, I'll rush right now.
I got one. The Godzilla variant where every single store had a cover except for Ryan because he forgot to put his name in.
No, what? No, it wasn't every store. And no, that's a variant. Variants. Fine.
Variants
don't count with this. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up.
Comic conspiracy cover.
Do the variants that are like all Wolverine, all Thor, or all themed around like the 70s and 80s?
It's all the same thing. All variants.
The Messiah trilogy, I will apologize ahead of time. I was trying to finish it. I wasn't able to.
Yeah, you somehow went from reading one book to reading like 12 books. Just read the one that was suggested.
Yeah, I know. I mean, reading everything about it. I'm actually really very enthralled by it. So we will talk about it. We are dealing it for one more week. Ryan was going to check it out, but you had some, penny problems. I was filming at the Hyro Day in Oakland, and I was filming it yesterday. So, I was trying. I got halfway, maybe a quarter way through on Second Coming, but next week for sure.
Oh, no.
I'll take this one. I'll take the blame. It's my fault.
Good.
Sorry, guys.
All right. If you want to hear this episode or any of our other episodes, again, you can go to www.geekbox.net. You can find this as well as other podcasts, including the...
Every time you say that, you always forget like that awkward tone. You're like, didn't I just say that? I just got to keep going with it.
Including other wonderful podcasts, such as the Geek Box, which Toby was on last night's episode.
Yay!
And
we're really curious about your top secret 5 is.
Have no such list.
Dude, you should give it on this one, and then they'll advertise it on the next one.
Oh, no, we totally egg in. And I advertised that you're an alcoholic now.
Nice.
They're totally are. Wait, he drank one beer? Whoa, total alcoholic, watch out.
The Geek Box, the Comedy Button, which now has a new website at comedybutton.com. Or is it thecomedybutton.com? I think it's just comedybutton.com. And you can go buy shirts that says...
Brap.
This one says Brap, and one says that's not Wolverine. Yeah. It's pretty funny. It's in French, and it's yellow. just like Wolverine's costume. And good job, Rain.
There's also a Ryan costume shirt.
As well as the All Talk podcast, which is our community member forums podcast, which is good stuff. Go listen to them. They were talking about Stargate Issue 1 the other day, so I have to go listen to that now. I'm a couple episodes behind.
Yay.
I need to go catch up.
I might go ahead and listen to that, too.
Everyone loves Stargate.
I've been watching it at work
MacGyver.
recently.
I'm I got through season 4. It's on my list after Doctor Who. I think I'm going back to Stargate.
I think my brother got through all of it.
I love the fact that I'm on season 5 and I just
your fifth
something.
watching or something. Yeah. Forums at geekbox.net. You can go and talk to us on there. Contact form on the front page. Send us an email or send us an email at thecomicconspiracy@geekbox.net. We're all on Twitter. Ryan Higgins, Ryan. Brock Sager. Toby is TobyXI. Insanity and Chaos is Charlie. Comics and Decline is Omar, and Larson Bryce.
Larson Lice.
Larson Bryce is Bryce Larson. Say that once fast. I do it every week.
That's not too bad. I called Bradley Cooper yesterday. I think I called him Bradley Pooper by accident. I was like, Bradley Cooper?
We all got other random crap we like to do, or most of us do. Conspiratobrock.com is Brock's blog.
Which please go to check out the comic book selection, and vote.
Earth 2. I will have that one done on time, I promise, because it's just one book.
Yeah.
Freaking Bryce is like, you can't give me the end of a trilogy, and all his other stuff is happening. I have to read it all.
That's a giving. Well, I wouldn't say that's giving you like.
Well, that and he takes.
See, that's like me picking like the last volume of a manga, going read all 20 volumes. There you go. I'll do that too, Bryce.
Comics in Decline is Omar's website. Infinite Longbox at infinitelongbox.com is Charlie's other podcast. Go listen to him there.
What, me? I have nothing.
No, you're not going to do the Infinite Longbox.
Infinite Longbox.
And always
I'll keep doing it until they have me recording an intro, which is not happening yet. So I'll keep doing it here.
And they can always use more hits over at the Comedy Button Great America videos.
Yes, go watch them.
That Toby recorded and edited.
Even though they probably all watched them already, but go watch them again.
Over on YouTube.
And maybe we'll have a Hyro Day video too after I film some of that stuff.
Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz or
You have to do the new one.
Or you can go to bit.ly-ccdig, or you can go to comicsconspiracy-comicretailer.com. All those and many other links will get you
Why don't
to.
you just put them on Twitter?
Yes, we'll get you to our brand new HTML5 Apple-friendly digital comic book store where you can go buy comic books.
I love how you keep emphasizing the Apple. I'm just like, it's just friendlier in general.
It is much friendlier in general, but especially for people who use Apple products that were unable to access the site completely before. In fact, I couldn't get it to work on my Droid phone either, so it's not just Apple products.
Yeah, don't diss the app.
So
we're not dissing the Apple. We're just overemphasizing.
Everyone
the
loves
Apple.
the Apple, so I'm good. We've now bowed down to Apple
Brainwash.
switches. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's it. I think that's everything. Yeah, we'll be back next week for some more podcasting.
Are we back on Monday?
Yes, back on Monday next week.
Can we have a Tuesday
Well,
and Wednesday slot just so we can actually read the current books and talk about the current books?
Think about it. This was perfect. We covered Forever Evil.
Yeah,
I don't want to be here until
Come on, let's do Wednesday
the wee
nights.
hours of Wednesday night.
We could
No,
do this.
we'll do it Tuesday.
We
all get together.
We almost
one
had a
book
live
to read
crowd
before the podcast.
We almost had a live crowd. Almost the entire store was staying behind. They were watching us from the window for a bit.
We'll figure something out. And again, if you want us to record Tuesday night and talk about books shipping on Wednesday, convince Ryan Scott on Twitter. That's at Rydog. Go tell him to move his recording date to Monday.
Or that, or
I love how he's just said this on the recording, so now all of our listeners can.
Yeah, in which case,
they
would then have to move the recording of the Comedy Button, which it's a slippery slope where everything's going to shift, so it's not going to happen.
We just do it on Wednesday then.
And we still need to see a picture from Mile High of their 3D covers on the show.
Anyway, the 12-hour intro is over. We are done. We'll see you next week.
Really
intro or outro?